Call the June meeting with the Allendale County Council to order. Thank everybody for coming in. Mr. Roberts, you mind giving us the invitation?
Yes, let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we beseech Thee as we gather this evening, asking for Thy continued guidance with wisdom, understanding, and most importantly, with Thy grace. May the work we do this evening be pleasing in Thy sight. May You soften our hearts and our minds to do what's right for the community. These and all blessings we ask in Thy holy and most merciful name we pray. Amen.
All right, we have a quorum here. All council members are here. Approval of agenda. I'd like to make someone make a motion. I want to change a couple of things here.
Motion that we amend the agenda.
Okay, under old business, we have a project skip fee for Southern Carolina Alliance. I'd also like to add a multi-county agreement. Apparently I missed that email or forwarded. Something happened, but anyway, I'd like to add that. It's simple. And the multi-county agreement for Southern Carolina Alliance. And also from executive session, we have QS1. I'd like to do them to do this in open session. I'd like to do that under, I guess we'll put it on the Aeronautics Commission, if that's okay, and visitors. QS1, that's our accounting firm. I'd like that to be an open session as opposed to executive session.
Okay. Good, sir. You want a motion to that effect?
Yeah. Got one? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion? Make that same right. Pass. That's right there. All right, I guess we're going to approval of emergency meeting minutes.
So move.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, Ms. Taylor was not there. All right, motion passes. I'd like to welcome everybody out. It's been an unusual couple of weeks for Allendale County. Hopefully we're moving in the right direction. We're not going to spend a lot of time on what's happened, what has happened. We want to go straight into public comments so we can get this meeting, because it's a little bit warm in this room. Air conditioner's not working, so I'm sure nobody wants to be here any longer than we have to. First on public comments, Ms. Kathy Theron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't be up here long. Mr. Chairman and Council, thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I'm here tonight to represent myself as a citizen, taxpayer, business owner, and voter. I've been listening to the information about the Treasurer's Office over this last few weeks, and I'm very sorry for what happened to Mrs. Cheney. I applaud the way the council managed a quick and efficient way in securing a replacement for her office. And I wish Mrs. Kirkland the best of luck in her new position. That being said, council members, I want to say on the record that I think that all county offices should be examined in the same manner as a treasurer's office. That way, we all get a clear picture of where all the county funds are. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If I may, counsel, if I may. Ms. Theron, what happened to the treasurer has nothing to do with the council. That was on that list that's been posted on Facebook and sent out. That was done by the governor's office of delegation. The council did not do that. Has nothing to do with the forensic audit. When the forensic audit comes out, every department in this county should have been audited, so we'll know what's going on there.
And one more. The forensic audit that's going on now is taking care of every department in the county. So that request that you had is already in place.
Well, I just wanted to
Thank you,
make
Ms.
it
Theron.
clear.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Okay. Next, Ms. Tony Major.
Chairman, good evening, council members and citizens. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding the Allendale County budget process. And I'll be as quick as I can. Section 4-9-120 of the South Carolina Code says, with the exception of emergency ordinances, all ordinances shall be read. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I need number one. About the budget, you understand that the end of June is the end of our year, and July 1st is the beginning of the next year. The county shall adopt annually and prior to the beginning of the fiscal year operating and capital budgets for the operation of county government, and shall in such budgets identify sources of anticipated revenue, including taxes, necessary to meet the financial requirements of the budgets adopted. It seems that the county will not be able to meet this timeline for the new budget. It also, with this statute, to have a budget in place. Number two is talking about supplemental income. County may make supplemental appropriations which shall specify the source of funds for such appropriations. The procedures for approval of supplemental appropriations shall be the same as prescribed in the enactment of ordinances. And as to supplemental appropriations, does that include monies such as what we received for past hurricanes, CARES Act, COVID monies, etc.? I've attended many years of council meetings regularly, as you're aware, and have never seen a meeting called for a supplemental appropriation. Will the $1 million plus that the county is expecting from the state be considered supplemental? As far as how the procedures go for supplementals, it refers you back to the same process as an ordinance. And that process is section 4-9120, procedures for adopting an ordinance. With the exception of emergency ordinance, all ordinance shall be read at 3 public meetings of council on 3 separate days with an interval of not less than 7 days between the second and third readings. And then it says public hearings after reasonable public notice must be held before final council action is taken. To 1, adopt annual operational and capital budgets, and 2, make appropriations including supplemental appropriations. And then it goes on to say, not less than 15 days notice of the time and place of such hearings shall be published in at least 1 newspaper of general circulation in the county. I guess I'm pointing these out to you, the statute out to you, so that going forward after the forensic audit, the new treasurer and treasurer's office, and the new budget, county council will hopefully follow these codes so that the public will be completely informed of all the county finances. In other words, transparency. Thank you once again for your time.
Ms. Ann Rice?
Good evening, friends and council, and Bill and Attorney. I'm here tonight to talk about something that's weighed heavily on my mind for a good many years, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my family members. The council has for years charged a fire fee per acre on farmland and timber. It doesn't sound like much, 50 to 51 cents an acre. On this, I have itemized what my family and I pay every year for fire fees for land that is, a lot of it is wetlands, it's in pine trees or in crops. It has no buildings on it, and the Forest Service does provide some service there. But each year we have paid almost $900 a year in fire fees. I think this is an unfair fee. For my house in town in 5 lots, I pay $2.50 a year. Now, it is much more likely for my house in town to use the services of the fire department. And I think that it's time that those of us that own land are not discriminated against. We pay enough in property taxes. And so I would ask that you, as a council, find a different way to fund the fire protection service. I don't mind paying my fair share. I wouldn't mind paying a fee each year of some sort But I think this is exorbitant for the use that we have of fire protection on timberland and on acreage and crops and in weapons. And so I asked, and I don't know whether it's legal or not. If y'all don't see that you can do anything about it, then I will do some more research and get the percentages and see if it's legal. But I'm asking you, in good conscience, to look at it and see if you think you can continue doing this. This has been going on for 10 or 15 years. I didn't research back how long it's been going on. But it's not a fair fee. And I think we pay enough in property taxes that we should not have to be paying this much in fire fees for services that are almost never used. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That's any public comments. Next is going to be Mr. Kenneth Crawford, Denmark Technical College.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
Great, how are y'all?
Good.
I'm going to be very brief with respect to the chairman. So I'm the special assistant, Kenneth Crawford, to Denmark Tech, and I'm recently new here to South Carolina. So I'm just going to give very few brief updates. So in May, we were able to have our investiture when we inaugurated our 9th president, Dr. Willie Todd. We were, during that week, also were able to graduate 84 graduates, and 100 of our students received certificates. Also during that time, we have been able throughout the time in Denmark to have some technology upgrades. We're going through upgrading our residence life dorms, as well as in all of the technology. We just had our first cohort for Manu First, where we had national students test above the national and state average. We fully renovated our barbering and cosmetology departments, which will fully be ready for our students in the fall. We continue to receive support from state and government officials to continue to make upgrades to our campus as well as the campus infrastructure. We're excited to announce that this fall we'll be introducing our first men and women's soccer team. We will also be hosting classes back here in Allendale starting this fall and in Barnwell. We're also offering, and this is my last point, free tuition to the first 500 students that apply to Denmark Tech for this fall semester that register and will be accepted. South Carolina resident students will receive 100% reduction in tuition from this. So out-of-state students will receive $2,813 in scholarships, equal to the cost of in-state toward tuition and costs. And so we're looking forward to implementing that, and if you all know any young people who would like to be a part and take a part of this, especially South Carolina residents, we welcome them, and thank you for your time.
Yes, out of curiosity, what's your total enrollment for Denmark Tech now?
At this present time, we are developing more of our enrollment, so I don't have an exact number. We're using this free tuition, to help build our enrollment.
You know how many you had last year in school?
Say it again, sir?
You know how many you had last year in school?
At this present time, no, sir.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Next on the agenda, Mr. James Stevens, South Carolina Aeronautics Commission.
How are you, sir?
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the council tonight, the meeting. It's a pleasure to be here with you finally. We have been talking with your airport for many years about a lot of different things, and we're a good partner. I see Bill here. I've met you, Bill, at the conference before, so thank you for sending people from your past. I see Connie here as well to the annual conference so that Allendale can learn about what the Aeronautics Commission does. One of the things that we do for airports in the state is we assist with land use planning around airports. In 2012, Nikki Haley signed a new law, Title 55, which is the law that governs aeronautics in South Carolina. She signed that into law, and with it came a lot of updates related to land use across the state in regards to our airports. So one of the things that we were required to do as a result of that law change was my staff was required to create maps of all of our land use, all of our airports, and land use zones around each one of our airports. We have 58 publicly owned public use airports across the state. We created those maps, and sent those to the communities and the airports that had the communities that had airports within them. And part of the map was a land use planning template for us to start a dialogue with the local community, whether it was a municipality or a county. Land use requirements in the code of law at the state requires that me and my staff provide you the maps, number one, which we've done. Number two, it requires a responsiveness between both of us related to permitting that takes place within those map zones. One of the things I wanted to draw to your attention tonight is that next steps would be that any permit request that happens under those zones within a community is supposed to, according to law, come to Aeronautics for our review. We would run it through a tool that we have called our CLUE tool, Compatible Land Use Evaluation Tool. And basically that tool asks a series of questions of what is the use of the land that is being permitted. It asks questions about wildlife and densities of people and things like that, with the whole purpose of doing two things. One, maintaining safety at your airport, so as people come and go from your airport, in the event of some sort of a crash, or whether it's departure or arrival, if an airplane comes up short, what are they going to land into? And that's part of the protection there. The two is also for us, for many years, has had investments in your local airport. The state has put money into your airport. The federal government through the FAA has done a lot of improvements out there as well. So one of the things we don't want to have happen is that we lose functionality of our runways, functionality of our airports. Because when that happens, then that does affect you economically, because you lose the length of runway and the type of aircraft that can come in and things like that. So back to the land use side of things, our CLUE tool, the state requirement is that a local entity is supposed to notify the Aeronautics of a proposed change. We, in turn, are supposed to review that change and respond back in writing to you all that would say, this is a use that's compatible, incompatible, or conditional. It could be conditional with airport and aircraft operation. Conditional, it could be conditional with airport and aircraft operations. That tool, to my knowledge, we've never come to Allendale and said, let us train your permitting officials on the use of that tool to make sure that, number one, they're utilizing it and following state law, and number two, that they are becoming advocates to protect the local airport. So we would like to do that with your staff, and that would be the next step, where me and my staff, I've got Gary Siegfried here. Gary, raise your hand for me if you don't mind. Gary is the head of all of our airport development programs, and he and his staff work very hard with communities to do grant and aid programs, to do maintenance programs, and to do land use. The next steps would be for us to come down and sit down with your permitting officials. And you got Horace here, who's the chairman of the Airport Commission, but also on your planning commission. And that's where we would come meet with them, talk about, again, the requirements of the state law and how we can help you all meet those requirements. One of the things that I want to reiterate is that land use planning is not my responsibility, other than to follow the key points in the law related to what I'm supposed to do. The permitting is a local decision only. I can't tell you this is what you should, I can't tell you you must do this. I can say this is something that you probably want to do. This would be compatible or incompatible, or it could be conditional with certain things being met. Our intent is, again, to protect the investments that we've all made. There is no cost to Allendale for this to take place. My staff and I would come down, meet with your staff, your permitting staff, and go through the process to train them on the use of the tool. The next steps after implementing the tool and meeting those state requirements that are there is eventually the consideration of an ordinance if Allendale so chose to do so. We have model ordinances that we've done with other communities, other counties, where we'll partner with them, we'll partner with the COG that they're part of, and we'll talk about what does that ordinance look like, how does it impact your local airport, how does it impact your local community, and those types of things. And again, the intent is to protect the investments that we've all made and to create a safe spot for aircraft to come and go without obstructions and other things being built up off the end of your runway. So that is one of the things that I wanted to present to you tonight. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is our grant and aid programs are administered at Aeronautics for your benefit. We have maintenance programs that your staff is aware of, and we have capital investing programs that they're aware of as well. They're all matching funds. We match federal grants, we match local grants, local dollars with state and local grants as well. But that is approved by the commission, and with me as well tonight is Marco Calzone. Marco is one of 8 commissioners that I answer to, and these individuals that are on the state commission look after the needs of the local airports within their respective districts. Marco's from Walsboro, he lives there, but he represents this congressional district and all the airports within the district. If you've ever got needs that my staff and I can't help you with, or we feel like you may feel we're being unresponsive to, Marco's just a phone call away, and he would love to serve you that way. But grant and aid and land use protections are things that we're here to try to help you all with. And I would ask that you consider allowing us to go into that next step to talk to your planning officials about the tool, about the use of the tool and requirements of state law. Any questions? I know it's a fast overview, but I just wanted to present a starting point for you.
Go ahead.
The tool you're referring to, is this something that would be used on an ESRI GIS system?
It is the GIS system, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, so our tool just...
Does it work strictly just on ESRI software, or will it work?
Online. You can get online and go to our website and go right to the tool. You don't have to have the software to do it. You don't have to have the software locally to do it. You can do it all online through the web.
Okay.
Good question, good point.
Jim, how long does it take? The
How long
meeting
is it?
itself, the training?
Really, the easiest way, first thing, we would get credentials to your staff. So we would have login credentials for them to get to the site. And then we would explain to them what that interaction looks like and how my staff would interact with them on the other side of that website. Bill, it really doesn't take long to explain it in a few hours. We can set it up for them and get it going. And we're a phone call away in the event they have questions along the way. Our tool has 2 parts to it. One is a public-facing part, so anybody in the public can go to the tool and do what's called our trial area. So if an owner of a piece of property says, hey, I'm interested in building this large facility on this property, or I'm thinking about marketing it a certain way, he or she can go to that tool and drop in the parameters of the building and give it a top height. Our base mapping that we have as part of the tool will give it the ground height, and that will evaluate the height of that facility related to the runway. And that's one of the considerations that we look at. But we have that public side, and then the private side is only for your staff to go to. And when they get an individual that comes in and asks for a permit, if that permit request falls under that mapped area, then they would have to go to our tool, answer a few questions, submit a case to us, and in that case, could come back right away as compatible or incompatible if it's clearly that. Or my staff would get a little further dig into it and say, okay, it could be compatible with these other conditions being met. But it really doesn't take that long.
Anyone else on council?
No.
Huh? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Before James is done, may I make a statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Horace Matthews. I'm new chairman of the Airport Commission. I just wanted to say, I want to extend a hearty thanks to James and Gary and the Marco. They were journey on the spot. They came down from Walsboro and Columbia to meet with us to talk about a critical issue. It's critical in my mind simply because that airport out there is the standard for our regional airports in this area. Pilots choose to come here. And they choose to come here because it's a first-class facility. But the competition is heating up. There's some things we can do at minimal cost or matching cost, even for free, so that we will remain the gold standard. And that gold standard will do some things in terms of attracting business, attracting more people here, and all kinds of other things that will benefit the general community. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I agree with you.
All right, next where we had the amended agenda, we're gonna bring up QS1. It's supposed to be an executive session, but we have Mr. James Mitchell and Ms. Gail Phillips going to talk about QS1. That's our accounting software. Yes, sir. Welcome to Allendale County.
Thank you for having us this evening.
I guess I'm going to start out by asking you the question. You came in three weeks ago?
Yes, sir.
3 weeks ago. we asked you to come in and work with our accounting system. What did you find out?
Well, we were taking a look at the financial statements, and we realized quickly that why you were having trouble getting some financial statements. There's accounts not set up in the system,
Right.
so you're missing bank accounts from the system.
Is it accounts receivable, accounts payable, or where we're looking at?
It would be the bank accounts.
Right.
So your accounts receivable, I guess.
Right. So we don't know how much money we know how much we're spending and how much we have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The expense side of things all looks real clean, looks like you would expect. On the revenue side, there was some accounts that were mislabeled, not organized well as bank accounts missing.
Bank accounts just not in our accounting system.
Yes, sir.
You and I spoke a little bit earlier before the meeting. What's the solution to the problem?
Well, we can get them added into the system. So what I've started working with the staff on is we're gonna keep what's in the current year like it is.
Right.
We've made a copy and we put it on a different server
Right.
for next year. So that way we get your chart of accounts like it needs to be for next year. So all the bank accounts are out there. All the reconciliation can be done through the computer, so you have full transparency.
Okay. So that's what we're lacking now, basically, is don't have receivables in there, which we need to start with, where we cannot see how much money we've got coming in.
Yes, sir.
What else did you find out?
Well, Gail came down today and helped me out with working in the treasurer's office a little bit and working with the new staff that's there.
Right, yes, sir.
While we were there, working with them, ran the decals that you print for your vehicles.
Yes, sir.
One of the printers ran out of decals, so we started looking for decals.
By decals, you mean?
The stickers that go on your license plate.
Okay, okay.
So when somebody
Okay.
pays a tax note, you pays your vehicle taxes
Right.
in the office, they get a sticker on the license, DMV.
Right.
And they have serial numbers and all associated with them. They're supposed to be kept under a lock and key. So what we came to find was there was a pack of them on the desk, so we were able to go ahead and reload the printer. So that took care of the problem. But as we went researching and looking for more decals, we couldn't find any more. So we've contacted DMV, and they notified us that based on their accounting of things, and this is what the DMV says, there should be 71,000 stickers. There's 300 in the office. Good God. The DMV is coming in next week and gonna help look at that situation and help your staff with what to do in the future moving
We
forward.
should have 71,000
Yes, sir.
legal decals for Allendale County?
Well, what that shows, based on what the DMV has told us, is that they haven't received accounting for those decals. So because they haven't received the accounting for them, they show them on the books for Allendale County because they haven't received anything from Allendale County saying that they've been used.
Okay, so we could have 71,000 decals just floating out there somewhere, is what you're saying? What would be the purpose of not turning them in, or why would we, I mean, just you could give, somebody could grab one off the desk, play them like you just put them on the back of your car and keep driving?
The reason you're supposed to keep them under lock and key and they have serial numbers is for that purpose, that nobody can take them and use them and act like they paid their taxes when they really didn't.
Right. So Allendale County, we've got 71,000 we're accountable for?
Yes, sir.
You say
According to
accountable,
the
we're
DMV.
gonna end up having to pay for this, decals on the value of the cars and things?
That's something that the DMV would have to tell you. I'm
So you
sorry.
found
No.
300 and we should have 71, that's quite a difference.
Yes, sir. That is quite a difference.
71,000.
And what, like I said, what that shows is they haven't been accounted for. They haven't received the accounting from the office in the Allendale County to show them what was used. So they're gonna come in, they're gonna meet with this current staff and work on that situation.
Okay.
Got one question.
Yes, sir.
In looking at the overall picture financially, there's some revenue that come directly through the administration side that's generally sent over to the treasurer's office.
Okay.
Now, will your work include those funding?
Yes, sir. So, one of the things there's two steps in making sure the revenue is all accounted for. One step is the tax system itself.
Sure. It's the big.
It is, right now, it's kind of a standalone system, and the accounting system is a standalone system. So we're gonna get those integrated so they're talking together.
Okay.
So that's step number one. Step number two is any money that comes into the treasurer's office, into the county, however, whichever office it comes from, they'll have the ability to generate a receipt for the person that's bringing the other office, so that way they'll have a receipt for that person, plus showing the receipt in the accounting system that shows that it was paid, that it came from that office. So that way the accounting of it, and it automatically puts it into the general ledger at that time.
Okay.
So that way you have a full accounting of all revenue from all angles, whichever office it came from. So it could be from the clerk of court's office, it could come from the magistrate's office, wherever the money comes from, they'll receive it. It'll show up, one, giving the person a receipt proving the other office, showing that they turned the money in and how much they turned in. So you creating more accountability.
So you got a paper trail there.
Exactly.
So what should never happen in the future is money being received and not received.
Exactly. Yes, sir. It's either whether it comes from the accounting system in the treasurer's office receiving it, or whether it comes from the tax system in the treasurer's office receiving it. You'll have a receipt for all money collected and deposited through that office.
And right now, we just don't have any record of it, what's been collected.
Yes, sir. There is some entries into the accounting system, but I can't guarantee that it's all there because not all bank accounts are there.
Okay.
And how long would it take?
We'll have the new chart of accounts in place for July 1.
July 1?
We'll have the new chart of accounts in place for July 1
Okay.
with the goal of being able to produce financial statements for the end of July. So starting a new fiscal year.
All right, thank you, sir, I appreciate you.
Look, we certainly do appreciate what you're doing with the county, because I know you got a task ahead of you, so we do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Y'all have a great evening.
God, have a safe trip back.
Thank you.
All right, next we go into council member reports. I guess I'm first on the hot seat here. Got this today, actually, those guys gave it to fee in lieu of taxes, Mr. Sanders. According to this, we had received department payments from U.S. Department of Energy for $103,000 and $102,000. The letter was sent 2020. You know anything about this?
We have not received?
It says this letter was sent from the county attorney. Can we take a look at that? That's like $205,000. We not received from the Department of Energy.
That sounds like 2 years.
That's exactly what, that's just 2 years. We have not received that. While we was looking at that, as I spoke at the last council meeting, me and Mr. Don Hutto, our IT guy back there, have been looking at phone bills and cell phone bills. And Donnie, you want to get on the hot seat with me, or you want to sit back there and receive? How you want to do this? You want to stay back there, or you want to come up?
Either way, I'm gonna stay back here and do it.
Well, that's fine.
There's a lot going on back here, but.
Okay. Basically, what you sent me today is a spreadsheet, and I'll share this with council and mark all over it. We have 170 telephone lines coming in Allendale County.
Actually, a little more than that, because I've got to find out exactly. That's 170 with AT&T.
That's right, and you said, we don't know how many we got with Atlantic Broadband yet?
Yeah, I've got to find out. It'll
Okay.
be Monday before I can contact the guy and find out how many is actually coming in.
This is not cell phones, ladies and gentlemen. Our total phone bill every month is $19,581 for this county. And tomorrow, Mr. Hutto, you're meeting with a company tomorrow. Hopefully, we can cut this a lot.
Yes.
Tell me exactly, explain to everybody what the process is so we can clarify it.
Yeah, what I was looking at is actually we're gonna go with two companies and get two quotes, one being Atlantic Broadband and one being, PRTC. And their main goal is to look in, and connect all the county buildings with fiber and bring in hosted voice lines. So we basically have one bill that covers phones and internet.
Right.
There'll be a lot more with that, with some of the fallout money and COVID relief money will probably be able to, don't know, I don't have figures, we have no final numbers. But I think there'll be a little or no upfront cost to the county. And I'm imagining just with brief conversations, quite a difference less than what we're looking at right now.
Well, you and I spoke today, we have some phone lines here that are unknown, meaning we don't know why we're paying for them.
There's a couple of discrepancies here, and this is gonna have to be some contact with AT&T. Actually, I say a couple, there's a lot of discrepancies here. We have some circuits that's actually listed by AT&T as unknown. They do not give a physical address of where the location of these circuits are. There's telephone lines that's listed as unknown or don't have any association with what department in Allendale County that they belong to. There's a lot, and this has got to be tracked down. I haven't found anybody that knows where any of these circuits are, except for the ones that's designated for 911, and we've identified those. And they're clearly marked, and we know those.
I see on here this synopsis you gave me, and I'm gonna share with the council. You got sheriff's office at 865, and you got with 55200. We're paying two different phone bills for the sheriff's office?
Yes, actually, the sheriff's office, that's just one example in here. So the sheriff's office was moved over to Atlantic Broadband. That's phone and internet, several years ago.
So we're still paying AT&T, although we're paying Atlantic Broadband?
There's 3 phone lines that was listed under the sheriff's office name. And I did find out one of those phone lines is gonna be for the victims advocate that has their office at the sheriff's office. The other 2 lines, as far as I know, now, sit down with the sheriff's office and make sure they're not being used for something else. The jail is another one, you'll see at the very top of that first page where I started breaking down.
Right.
That's a number that no one at the detention center knows what it is. I call this number. I don't get an answer, there's not an answer machine on it. That's just a few examples. There's 170 numbers. Tomorrow we'll kind of start it off because we'll actually go down to each department. PRTC nor Atlantic Broadband can obviously give us any kind of figures until we find out exactly what we need in the buildings. There's also going to be hardware that needs to be upgraded in these buildings. But it's going to save a lot of time and energy from the IT part and be a lot more protective of cyber attacks because we're not dealing with all different buildings having their own internet access and having to protect each building. All the internet access will come through the courthouse and move to all the outlying buildings. It'll come back and forth through this.
I'm certainly hoping to save a little bit. We're paying a lot of money for phone service for a county our size.
Right.
And that doesn't include cell phones or Atlantic Broadband at this point.
Right, and another issue that we've spoke about before the council meeting that we've been dealing with for an awful long time is the terrible service that we have at the airport. Worse than a dial-up internet.
Right.
Affects paying with credit cards out there, affects everything, every aspect of the airport out there. And we know for sure that one of these companies can get fiber out there. So that would be included along with the building. They would have just as good a connection out there as everybody here in the courthouse.
When you and I spoke earlier today on the phone, you said you want to be listed as an admin on these so you can look at the bills and do stuff like that. That's what you request from me?
Not just look at the bills. I have a copy of the bills, so I have all the numbers. I have all the circuit numbers and everything. But it would take somebody, it would take being able to get on the phone with AT&T and find out a physical address of where these numbers are, where
So we need
they're actually hooked up so that we can go in there and look at them and find out if they're even being used or not. And some of these are 200, 300, 400, even more a month that we're paying.
Donnie, I know it took you 2 weeks to get into this, and I certainly appreciate what you did. It was a lot of work.
Sure.
Isn't it fair to say unknown numbers, we can cut those almost automatically, couldn't we?
Yes, and I think Donnie was telling me earlier, we may have actually fax lines here we don't use anymore. We're paying for them, DSL lines.
Yeah, I've even identified some DSL lines that should have been cut off many years ago. That was in discussion many years ago. It's been brought up before in the past. Some of the lines I do not know because just like, that's gonna take sitting down with every department You know, there's probably a designated line for the public to call in and find out about some sort of service, like jurors have a number that they call back in to find out when they need to be in the next day, or if they need to be in or not. You know, all those numbers have to be identified as well. So I've got a list of numbers. It's just gonna take finding out where these numbers actually belong.
And that's why it's so important that every piece of county equipment be inventory. We've talked about it over the years, not only inventory, but also identified. And you place a number on that particular piece of equipment.
Right.
So
Right.
until we do that, we're gonna be
We're gonna get it handled.
just not knowing exactly what type that belongs to the county. So this may be a good start of trying to get a complete inventory of the county.
Once we get landlines, then I'd like to go to cell phones. So we'll handle landlines first, then we'll go to cell phones.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Donnie? Why, and it's on this list, and you listed as clerk, what kind of clerk?
I'm pretty sure that's gonna be clerk court.
Why do they have 12 different phone numbers?
That's just one example. The probate judge has 7 numbers. That's the only thing that I can go by is what AT&T lists on that bill. So how they have it listed there, those numbers very well could belong to someone else, but it just comes up into there. You know, I know that the judge's chamber back there has a line in the very back of the courtroom. That's obviously gonna come into the clerk of court. Like I said, she's got the call in for the juror line.
Whew, you can't talk on that many lines.
Some of the hosted voice that these are looking at to replace all these landlines in here would eliminate all of that, because you have basically one line that you can have 25 different phone calls on at one time. So basically taking a call-in line that's dedicated to their service, and we can get rid of some of these numbers, and create what basically virtual lines. But you know, when the time comes down, I'd like to schedule a deal with the council to have both representatives talk and kind of give the council an overview of what they're looking at, what they found in there, and what they can do to help the county.
Again, Donnie, I know it took 2.5, 3 weeks since the last meeting. I appreciate what you did. That's a lot of work. Thank you.
I'll ask you something about procedure, maybe Bill, you can answer. Say I'm in the animal control office and I order me a phone line. How do I go about doing that? Do I see you, or do I see whoever's over it? How do they order a phone without the council's approval?
Well, since I've been here, none have been ordered, but I've really been getting Donnie involved as when it comes to any kind of phone.
What's the procedure?
Right,
That's
yeah.
establishing me another
Yeah,
phone
right.
line in my office.
I think everybody just ordered what they wanted to order, to be totally honest with you.
Yes, sir. I never ordered a phone line. The only thing we've done is had the authorization, like when Atlanta broadband come in, you know, they do the hosted voice at the admin building, the magistrate's office, and the sheriff's office.
Well, Atlantic Broadband does not ask questions of whether you have permission to do this or not from the governing body?
Those numbers that Atlantic Broadband has was previous AT&T numbers that you just ported over to Atlantic Broadband.
Okay.
Those documents were signed, they would come up with an agreement, and then they would sign by whoever the administrator was at the time.
I think we need to make a motion, let Donnie be one of the admins on this line, let the people come through Donnie's phones. and
What's
things like
done
that.
is done. We're going to take steps to stop it.
Okay. All right, Mr.
And,
Matthew?
long distance would be another thing we really need to look at. Just on this last month, we had $1,400 in long distance. I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. I don't know if an employee can just pick up a phone and dial long distance without a code. There's steps that we can put in place to get control over that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Donnie.
Okay.
Mr. Matthew?
Unfortunately, none of my committees met this month, so I have
You off the hot seat?
nothing else.
All right. Councilman Goody?
Other than Southern Carolina, my committee did not have anything to be about this week either month.
All right. Mr. Robinson?
Just quickly, Mr. Chairman, made a visit out to our animal shelter, and as you know, a lot of work has been performed. And I hope, Bill, we've gotten a letter out to our patrons, thanking them for what they've done. Got a new building that was donated, and also new roofing at the kennel. Also, we do have a few problems still exist. I met with Mr. All today, and hopefully we will jump over those first thing in the morning. Mainly, there's a sewer problem and some debris problems at the animal center, so shelter. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out within the next day or two. Also, the Allendale County Community Relations Council, we got a request from the Human Relations Commission out of Columbia to start meeting again. And I know Mrs. Bradham in the past have asked about joining the County Community Relations Council. Meeting has been scheduled for July 12th, and we'll confirm that. There's a new director at the Human Relations Commission, and he certainly want to come down and kind of meet our Relations Council. So hopefully, come July 12th, we'll have that done. Just want to speak briefly on the local government roundtable, and I'm certain some of the members here have been invited to participate in a Low Savannah Council Government Roundtable discussion, which will be held next week. And that's basically will be sitting down with local elected officials and kind of talk about local government from A to Z in terms of how we can improve what we do as local officials. That's probably going to run about 2 or 3 hours, and I think that will be scheduled for next week at Clemson Experimental Station, and I hope to participate in that come next week. That's all I have, Joe.
Going back to what you said about animal shelter, Miss Amy Scott called me today. She wasn't real happy. Seems we have a septic problem.
And we looked at that.
And they said that apparently when we fix it, we plumb it out, snake it out, we only get about 5%. So we're gonna need to get a professional to take a look at that.
Rick, we looked at it, and it seemed to be flowing pretty good, and you know, it runs into septic tank, and the next best thing we could do is pump it out if there's blockage. Mr. All will look at it in the morning and see if there's any blockage.
Okay.
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll get it done, if not tomorrow, maybe early next week.
All right, Ms. Teresa?
One thing I have that is Mr. Robinson, I met with the car board this month, and as you can see, they're working on the railroads and design Fairfax and the Canyon railroads in Fairfax as we speak, along with an Allendale. I want to thank the car for all what they're doing for Allendale County.
Mr. Chairman, just want to add,
Yes, sir.
just piggyback on Councilwoman Taylor. There's additional money for that 321-278 intersection. There's been an increased cost because of CSX asking for additional funds.
Who did that?
It happens. So, but we do have a fund that was anticipated, the additional cost. So that's good news for Fairfax.
The COGS paying for CSX, you know?
Well, we're using the guy share money, which is money that comes to the COG yearly, and there's additional money because of the rescue plan that we can also use.
Yeah, for CSX.
Yeah.
Give me some money. All right, Mr. Administrator, it's your turn. Mr. Goodson?
I'll be brief because I know I think we covered some of the stuff, but I want to go on, I guess, on record for Councilman Conley asked me and y'all wanted me to get copies of all the bank statements in the past 12 months. I got those, and as well as getting an RFP out for a new auditor that is on our website. I also posted a comment and a link to it on the county Facebook page, and I'm going to be putting an ad in the newspaper as well. I asked the forensic audit team for a list of potential governmental auditors. They sent me a list, and I had our clerk of court call them and ask them would they be interested in auditing. I think she emailed 3 of those out to those firms, so we're moving quickly to get a new auditor for the county. And that's all I have right now.
All right.
I do have.
I was going to go back to you.
Yeah, I wanted to address what you'd asked me about. Everything's been sent to DOE. You know, this was those intergovernment agreements that we pass every year in the resolutions. Once y'all signed them for this year, and I have sent them. I will follow up with their legal counsel who I
Well,
sent
they
it
have been
to.
invoiced or whatever?
Yeah. They receive, what they request is to receive the resolution that we passed and the intergovernmental agreement, which you signed. And I sent them to them right after you had signed them. But I will follow up with whoever I sent them to.
That's a lot of money, $205,000 to help this
Yeah.
county a lot.
This was like 2 years, it's 2 years.
That's what I'm
worth.
saying, they didn't pay 2019 or 2020?
Because this money never comes to me, it comes to the county somewhere, to the treasurer's office, so.
It's in the fee in lieu, and that list of the fee in lieu. It's included.
That's what I'm saying, it's fee in lieu, but we have not received that fee in lieu.
But
That's
I'll
what-
follow up,
I'd like to find out where, as
because
soon
I
as
was
you can.
thinking that last year's had already been paid,
I thought so too. And
not this year necessarily.
Well, if we had an
To be
income,
honest with
if
you,
we had an
I-
income report, we may know that, we don't get one of those, so.
and I thought it was more like $80-something thousand instead of
It's
$100.
$205,000,
Well,
$205,000
it is
over this
$89,508.
county.
We've added a penalty,
Okay,
somebody, that's probably what they're gonna give you, is the
Oh, yeah.
$89,508 twice,
okay.
We'd like to have it one time.
huh?
We'd like to have it just one time.
We don't need it
Is
if the
that
government
generated
won't,
by
the
us?
state won't turn loose our $600,000. You're gonna be dire straits, you need to get that.
Okay,
It was on our system.
next.
I think Rick,
Yes, sir.
I think what happened on this is, as the gentleman from QS one was saying about the paper trail, I think that money's been, we receive it, but there's no
I had them double
paper
check
trail.
that. Councilman Robinson, I had them check that. I wasn't gonna bring that out without double
Okay.
checking that. There's even a note I had them print off where they know they went in there because they put a note in there that Attorney Sanders was invoiced.
So in other words, ain't no excuse, they ain't paid, Bill.
I can't
I
believe,
double checked that.
I can't
They ain't
believe
paid.
in 2 years they wouldn't pay us.
I'm telling you, I had
Okay.
double checked,
All right.
Councilman Robinson, to you respectfully.
That's not like DOE, but
I'll
we
check
see.
on it.
All right, now we have the second reading of Project Skip fee agreement. Dog, you wanna do that?
Skip, resolution. what
Same
is
one
it?
we did last, the second reading of it.
Oh, okay, well, I don't have it with me.
Matthew, you wanna do yours? I can let Matthew do it, it's fine, just the same. way.
That's for the fee in lieu?
Fee in lieu, yes.
Okay, and that's up there at the wood chip place.
Yeah, I think, I made a mistake, Kel, you got to correct me there, and I apologize. Multi-county park agreement, and we had the fee in lieu for Project Skip, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. All right, Matthew, have you got both of them?
I've got, what is this one? See, I got a fee in lieu.
Fee in lieu, okay.
I didn't see the multi-county.
That's not on here, Mr. Rick.
That's the fee agreement.
The fee agreement is, I added in our, when I amended the agenda, I added multi-county park agreement.
Takes 4 years to do.
And then the industrial park.
Yes, ma'am, you got both of them, that's fine.
All right, help yourself. You got to sign that.
All right, this should be it. That's industrial park right here. Here's the fee and lieu agreement, Project Skip.
Which one you want first?
You can do that one first. You can, well, do Skip first, it's fine. Let's do Skip first.
You reading all this?
Title, did you just do the title?
That's title only, shouldn't it?
County of Allendale ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee agreement by and between Allendale County, South Carolina and Project Skip, providing for a payment of a fee in lieu of taxes and other matters related thereto. Do I keep reading?
No, that's good enough.
This is the second, we passed the first one, this is the second reading.
You need a motion on that?
Yeah, we need a motion on that.
I so move.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Discussion? I'm sorry, excuse me. All opposed? Should have been discussion first.
That's
I'm
okay.
glad the damn air turned on. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That's fine. All right, the second one is this, and I have not read this, kind of slept up on me, dog, you wanna look at this? This is about the, fee and multi-park agreement, is that correct?
Yeah, we go through this a lot with Southern Carolina Alliance. This is a new Quad County Industrial Park 1, Park number 2, Park number 3. These were established back in 2013 by and among Allendale County, Bamberg County, South Barnwell County, Hampton County, providing for the development of certain multi-county industrial parks so as to include additional property in that portion of the parks geographically located in Allendale County and other matters related thereto. Allendale County entered into an amended and restated master agreement for the establishment of the Quad County Industrial Park 1, 2, and 3 in 2013, along with Bamberg, Barnwell, and Hampton County. And in Section 3 of this agreement, the boundaries of Park 3 created therein may be enlarged when need be pursuant to an ordinance of the county council of the county in which the property is to be added on to, located in a resolution of the county council of the other counties. And whereas Skip, the company, is investing through the acquisition, construction, and renovation of land, buildings, improvements, and our personal property. The project on land is described in Exhibit A attached here on this piece of paper, which you can look at, which is located in Allendale County. The property is right now not located in any multi-county industrial and business park. And where the company has requested Allendale County, Bamberg County, Barnwell County, and Hampton County include the property in the agreement in order to allow them an enhanced jobs tax credit and to facilitate the granting of a special source revenue credit. The state allows companies who invest a certain amount of money and hire a certain amount of people to be able to qualify for this fee in lieu type. Otherwise, we can't compete with industry in this state. The agreement is hereby and shall be amended to include property in Park 3 for the longer of 20 years of the term of the fee agreement. County administration or chairman of the Allendale County Council hereby authorized to execute and deliver any desired amendments to the agreement necessary to accomplish the within amendments and enlargement. All right, and that's going to be signed by the chairman of the Allendale County Council upon approval. Yes.
I guess we need a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the second reading of the multi-county
expansion.
And I got a question on that, and Kel, you may be able to answer. What's the breakdown on the fees, 70, 10, 10, or 80?
Yeah, it's the 70, it's the 70, 10, 10, 10.
Okay.
And the SSRC for that, I think last time I realized I was mistaken on my numbers, but it's 60% for 2 years, 40% for the next 2 years, and then 30 for the life of the fee. So, and that was my bad.
That's okay.
So we get confused.
So 70% come to the host and 10% will go to the other?
To the sister counties, that's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
And that fee schedule, we could have that fee schedule, that would certainly allow us to, we approved the fee agreement, but we didn't have the schedule, so it would be nice to have that.
I'll get it to you, I promise.
All right.
Kel, I apologize again. I thought I'd forwarded all the emails. I apologize.
No, we're good. I may not have sent the right thing.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Need a motion on this?
I made a motion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right. New business, resolution authorizing the continuance of the Allendale County budget until the time such 2021 budget can be finalized.
Make a motion on the resolution.
I'll second it.
All right, discussion? All for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays had the same right? Passed. Next, we have executive session. Do we need to go into executive session? Do we have anything? We move QS1 out, or
I don't.
anyone
Make a
have
motion, we adjourn.
anything? All right,
Second.
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?